I'm recording this video on Erev Shabbos Parshas Beshalach. So first, a good Erev Shabbos to all of my listeners. Thank you so much for listening to all of my shiurim and giving me the opportunity to be Marbitz Torah. I don't take the listeners for granted. It's a partnership. I prepare the share and say the share. You learn from it. It's a schus for me to be able to do it, and I thank you. If you're a regular listener to the shiurim, I would ask you to please help me out and subscribe. It does help. This video that I'm recording now is not on Mishnah Berurah. I wanted to address some of what we see and hear going on in the world and some of the feelings that it stimulates in us and some of the worries and some of the fears that people have. It's not all that long ago that we heard terrible news. It's not so long ago that we heard the terrible news of Simchas Torah. People get used to it. It's already become a fact of life. It's part of what we know. But it's not that long ago since that shocking Simchas Torah when we heard the news of what was occurring in Eretz Yisrael. And now it's just a few days since we heard the terrible story of those buildings that collapsed in Nebuch. Over 20 Yiddish lives that were lost. I have in front of me here on my desk, as I say shir, I have a picture of a poster of all of those hostages that are still being held, and we're mispal for them and for the soldiers and for everybody else on a constant basis. And like I said a few days ago at the outset of one of these shiurim, we can't lose sight of it. We have to continue to be mispal, and it really has to be, so to speak, top of mind. Every time that we daven, we have to have in mind to be mispal. They're all Yidden. Every one of them is a Yehudi, and they're one of us. They're a brother, they're a sister, and I don't want to hear what stripe they are. It's not negeya at all. Every one of them was taken and is being held and is being harmed for one reason and one reason alone, and that is because they're a Yid. So there are brothers, there are sisters, and we have to be mispal for them on a constant basis. There is, however, I wanted to point out another possible perspective that we should have when we listen to the news. We hear news and we hear things that our mind interprets right away as bad. So we'll hear a statement that comes out of the White House, or we'll hear a statement that comes out from some other government, or we'll hear something that somebody in a position of power said that seems to be against us. We'll listen to policies that are being considered that make us grind our teeth. We hear news that just sickens us and worries us. Says David HaMelech in Tehillim, Kapitel Mem Vav, Elokim lanu machaseh va'oz. Rabbeinu Shel Olam, you are for us a machaseh. A machaseh is a refuge, va'oz, and strength. This week's parsha, Oz Yashir, Ozi v'zimras ka Hashem. Ozi, Hashem is our strength. We have no strength. We have no strength. It doesn't matter how many tanks we have. It doesn't matter how many missiles we have. It doesn't matter how advanced our planes are and how we take the American ones and we improve them. It's all not negeya. Ozi v'zimras ka Hashem. The Rabbeinu Shel Olam is our strength. So David HaMelech says, Elokim lanu machaseh va'oz. Ezra b'tzaros, you're our help in tzara. You're our help in times of distress. Nimtza ma'od. You're very accessible to us. Al kain, therefore, says David HaMelech, lo nira b'hamir aretz. We don't have to be afraid when the world is being turned over. Uv'moit harim, and when the mountains are collapsing, belev yamim, in the hearts of the seas. You see what David HaMelech says? David HaMelech does not say that the world isn't being turned over on its ear. David HaMelech doesn't say that there aren't mountains that are collapsing. David HaMelech says, you listen to the news and you watch what's going on in the world, and you see that the whole world is being turned upside down and nothing makes sense, and you see mamish moit harim belev yamim, you see things collapsing, things that seem to be incredibly powerful, militaries maybe. You see moit harim belev yamim, but loy nira. We don't have to be afraid. You know why? Because Elokim lanu machasev ois. Because the Ribono Shel Olam is our refuge and our strength. And not only that, Ezra b'tzarais, he's the one who helps us in tzara, nimtza ma'od. He's very, very, very accessible to us. What does that mean? Nimtza ma'od. There's a Peladikus Sepharna. The Sepharna says something that's so, we couldn't say it, but it's a Sepharna. The Sepharna says, what does it mean, Ezra b'tzarais nimtza ma'od? Gam b'tzarais she'anachnu b'roya b'chirasenu. Even if they're tzaras that are caused by our roya b'chirasenu. We have b'chira. Maybe we exercised our b'chira poorly. Maybe we followed the Yetzer Hara instead of the Yetzer Tov. Maybe we did Averis. Maybe bad things are happening. You know why? Because we're not doing the things that we should do. Says the Sfarna, the Ribono Shel David HaMelech says, the Ribono Shel Olam is nimtza ma'od gam b'tzarai she'anachnu b'roya b'chirasenu nimtza itam ma'od yoser min harogel b'mikroi b'teva. Even if these are abnormal tzaros that come because of our bad bechira, still al kein loy nira. B'roiseinu chemlas Hashem aleinu kol kach. We see the Ribono Shel Olam's love for us. We see the Ribono Shel Olam's rachmanis on us. Hamoyrek yichafetz banu v'lo yavahash chiseinu. The Ribono Shel Olam wants to take care of us. Lo nira b'hamer aretz. We shouldn't be afraid when the world gets turned upside down. Bizmancha akel yeshana es kol yoshvei haaretz lachyoisam b'ofen acher. Even when things seem to be totally out of whack, we don't have to be afraid. Sure. What I want to take from this, one thing I want to take from this is, remember that Shema Yisrael, when people say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, I think they put tremendous emphasis on the end. Hashem Echad. We all know the importance of being Miyachid Shem Shamayim, that the Ribono Shel Olam is Echad. He's the one source of everything. But there's also Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem is our God. We have a relationship. When I say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, that word Elokeinu is like a warm hug from the Ribono Shel Olam. It's Hashem Elokeinu. We have a relationship. He's our God. He's not their God. He's our God. He's on our side. He takes care of us. He's a meitiv. Elikim lanu machasev ois. You hear the news, and yes, it looks terrible. It sounds terrible. It sounds scary. Al kein loy nira b'hamir aretz uvamoy tarim b'lev yamin. Why? Because Elikim lanu machasev ois. The Ribono Shel Olam is for us a refuge and our strength. He's on our side. He's a meitiv. Ultimately, everything is hatava. We look at certain things. Yes, you cry. It sounds gefährlich, and it is gefährlich. There are people that are living through tsaris and tragedies and nebuch and losing loved ones, etc., etc. I'm not trying to take away from them. I'm not chas v'chalila in any way being memayit their tsar. But ultimately, when viewed from on high, the Ribono Shel Olam has a plan, and it's all toiv. It's all toiv, because everything that the Ribono Shel Olam does ultimately is for Klal Yisrael's toiva. Elikim lanu machasev ois, and Ezra b'tzarais nimtza ma'od. He's very accessible to us. Take out a Tehillim. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you might have done. Yes, you should do tshuva, 100%. But you could all take out a Tehillim, and you could all say Tehillim. You could all daven, And even if you don't know what the words mean, which nowadays there's no excuse, because you could get an art scroll Tehillim that will teach it for you in English, in Hebrew, in French, on the left side, on the right side, on the bottom, or in the middle. It's all there. Whatever you need, you can find it. But even if you don't know what you're saying, you say it and you have in mind that you're davening to the Rebbeinu Shalom, David HaMelech davens for you also. So the Rebbeinu Shalom's nimtza ma'od, daven to him, call out to him, cry to him, ask him for help, ask him to help these poor people who are never suffering so terribly. The mind can't even imagine the horror of being held captive by these Rishoim, these Mashchisim, these horrible people. But keep your chin up and remember Likim Lanu Machsav Ois. This Shabbos especially, when we hear about Kriyas Yamsuf, the Nisim that the Rebbeinu Shalom did for us in Mitzrayim, taking us out of Mitzrayim, the same way, Misha Asa Nisim Lanu V'la Avisenu, same way the Rebbeinu Shalom made Nisim for us in previous Golosin, and the same way the Rebbeinu Shalom took care of us on a constant basis, same way the Rebbeinu Shalom takes care of each and every one of us every single day. The Rebbeinu Shalom should take care of Klal Yisrael. No one should know from any tzaras. We should only know Simcha, and we should be zeicher to see the Geula Shlema with the Bias Gal Tzedek B'Meher V'Yameinu Amen. Be well.